Good Saturday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Cincinnati Crypto. My name is David. I'll be your host for today's TAFA show. I want to give you guys a quick update on today. Markets, kind of boring. BTC, 84,000. Ethereum, still under 2,000. XRP saw a little bit of a pullback. Now, if you guys remember yesterday, $2.35 is what we want to see so we can get our long order filled on Solana. We'll go through that chart. Take a look at who's leading on active addresses. We'll take a look at RWAs. And then we'll give an update on the XLM chart. And then I'll kind of tell you my opinion on the best altcoins, or at least the altcoins that I'm buying now. Yeah, like the video. Make sure you're subscribed and let's jump in. So let's start with BTC. Now, we kind of went over this yesterday. Talk about when you isolate candles and you take a look and just without any charting and just look at, all right, what does this tell me about how the traders felt that day? And then you start adding them up consecutively. And what this tells me again, and today's candle, now it opened, what was that, 17 hours ago. But there is just, we're coming to a boiling point here, and it's all happening at a very important level, which is $84,000. And so I know yesterday's thumbnail, it said 80K or 90K. I'm still in that boat. We're either spilling off, going right down to 80K, or if for some reason the sentiment has changed or news comes out or something happens between now and let's say next Tuesday, Wednesday, then we can see a break to the upside. And I think we're going to just surpass this and go straight up to 90K. So that's kind of my base case for BTC. If you look at the 21 minute, why 21 minutes? Because we like blackjack. We were kind of in this ascending triangle here. This is pretty far out, but you know, I was looking at this yesterday and it looked better. But you had this trend line here, and that Bitcoin's kind of bouncing off of. But if you draw the complementary trend line, this turns into essentially a rising wedge, which what rises must fall. And so this one is coming in, making higher lows, higher highs. It kind of had a triple top here on the lower time frame, but it's rising. And so again, what rises must fall. And so this would tell us that we expect Bitcoin to break to the downside. On the 1 hour, I'm going to remove these trend lines. And let's go to the 1 hour and let's see. I mean, this range, this is kind of weird price action, right? It's like you have almost equal bodied candles, just consecutive, right? You gotta drop from 84K down to 83.4, and then you take it all back, and then you go back to 84, and then you give it all back, and then you take it all back, and then it's just chop, 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 chop. And then you see these candle patterns and how kind of the small the bodies are getting. And so I think there's a trend reversal. And then look at volume, just fell off a cliff, right? At the peak, or at least going back to just yesterday, we were hitting volume of around 171, 163. And then this is Bitcoin, not dollars. And then now you're hitting like 12, 5, 9, 10. And so volume dropping, range getting tighter, candle bodies getting smaller. Everything to me signals that there's some kind of squeeze coming. There's a big move coming for BTC, and of course to the rest of the markets as well. Now ETH was at $1,900, or is at $1,900. You know, I got a phone call yesterday from a friend of mine, and he's like, hey, I want your opinion on something. I was like, okay. He said, I got $5 million and I want to put it on. Should I buy Bitcoin now? And I'm just looking for a 20% gain. He's like, put it in now at 84,000, cash that out like 105. I'll be happy with 20%. That's my profit goal, is 20%, which of that 5 million is going to be $1 million. He's like, do you think now's a good time? I was like, well, obviously not financial advice. I said, I would either wait or I would put in maybe $1 million or $2 million now. And then if you get that 20% move, you still make $200,000 to $400,000. Or if it doesn't, then you're able to buy Bitcoin cheaper if it does go down. I told him my base case is we get one more leg down for BTC. But then I told him, I was like, look, I want to put another idea in your head. I want to put the idea of Ethereum. This thing is so down compared to the rest of the market. And we can even look at it. And you know what? I think the perfect chart for this one would be ETH versus BTC, along with literally ETH versus everything. 8%. And this is ETH dominance. Sorry. And we'll get to the Bitcoin chart. 8%. I think this is not the lowest. It got as low as 7% back in 2019. But we're getting to like all-time lows, like ever, for ETH dominance. And so it's losing market share rapidly. We take a look at ETH versus BTC. And tell me that's not one of the ugliest charts you've ever seen. It's just been nothing but down and to the right since 2021. And every time we look at this chart and say, we found a bottom, we found a bottom, we found a bottom. We found a bottom here. Nope. We found a bottom here. Nope. We found a bottom here. Nope. We found a bottom here. Maybe. But let me tell you why I told him to put ETH on his radar. The staking that will be allowed for the ETFs, I think a lot of people are missing how big that potentially could be. When you think about maximizing profits, and, you know, we all kind of made fun of Vanguard for not listing the Bitcoin ETF, or not giving, you know, letting their clients essentially have access to buying the Bitcoin ETF. But their entire thesis is if a product or a commodity does not earn money or yield or dividends, then we don't want to offer. We don't believe in those products. So that's why they don't have the gold ETF. When you talk about Ethereum and the allowance of staking and how that'll create a dividend for not only the company, but potentially for shareholders, I think that is massive. And think about it this way. I can either promote the Bitcoin ETF and earn 0.25%, or I can promote the Ethereum ETF, show them that it's down X% from its all-time high and relative to Bitcoin, how the price has been suppressed. Now is a perfect time to get in. It's actually very undervalued for what ETH does or what it stands for. On top of that, I can take my 0.25% and then I can earn an additional 2.5 to 3%. We're talking billions of dollars of ETF flows, and 2% of that, 2.5, 3%, whatever the amount they take, or if they decide to pass any savings on, or maybe they take that product and one or two of the issuers make that product free of charge, right? So no monthly fee, no 25 basis point fee for the customer. We're happy with the 3.5%. You can enjoy having money in Ethereum in a tax sheltered way, or in a tax efficient way on Wall Street with your favorite ETF provider, with your favorite investment company, and you can earn X amount of dollars and not have to pay a fee. I think, to me, that's a no-brainer. They've already been talking about bringing staking onto the ETFs. And there was someone else who said, I think it was the guy from BlackRock, or one of the big hedge fund people, said, look, staking for ETH is going to be massive. I think it was Mitch Nick from BlackRock. Either way, I think that's going to be a game changer. So I told him, I was like, look, don't be afraid to kind of think a little bit about Ethereum. I'm not saying put 5 million in Ethereum, but I don't know. Maybe put $1 million in Ethereum and 4 million in a Bitcoin. I don't know. I think the risk versus reward is there for ETH. And again, you look at the price action, and this is on the daily. You look at the weekly. Good reversal signal here on the weekly for ETH, right? This is kind of I mean, just look how perfectly these lines touched our two trend lines here, right? The wicks on this last week candle. But this, to me, signifies that I think this, to me, looks like ETH is at a bottom. And we can even throw on, no, not that one. Let's throw on our price action concepts. Let's see if we have any gaps that we created, and we can actually zoom into the 12-hour for this one. Get a little more data. And so ETH is coming into a couple things. Previous week low for ETH was 1750. We got there on a wick. This was last Sunday. But down here, you had around 7% of all ETH that was traded, and this is between $1,863 and $1,919. And you're about 3 to 4 to 1 on buys versus sells. And look at these candles, okay? ETH wants to break out. ETH wants to break out. And it might sound like hopium. I don't know. It's funny because my biggest ETH is not even in my top 5 of positions in my portfolio. It's not even a significant portion. I have a decent amount, but it's not like a make or break me. If it goes to 0, I'll have to sell my left kidney and one of my children to pay the bills. It's not even that bad. I just can't do it. I can't pull a Robin. I can't punt on ETH. I can't say this thing is dead. I just can't do it. And you look at stuff like this. RWA is massive. RWA is massive. Oh my God. RWA is going to make so much money. Oh, ETH holds 70% market share for treasuries. Oh, stable coins. Let's see. Does ETH show up here? Oh, wow. ETH holds 58% of market share. Let's look at global bonds or private credit, commodities, institutional funds. So you kind of get the point. So I told them, I was like, if there's any time, and here is institutional funds, 40%. ZK Sync, which is also an Ethereum token, that's 37%. So ETH network as a whole, 77%. And so the market share is large, and you look at the price, it just doesn't make sense, right? And so could it be partly manipulation? Sure. You know, Mark Yusko kind of broke down what they do. They short the spot and they long the futures. And they just make money on the arbitrage, the 2%, the 1%, 1.5%, whatever that amount is. And so we saw that happen with Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin had an explosive rally, right? It was 7 months of boring chop. With Ethereum, it hasn't just been 7 months of chop. It's been like 5 months of just downward chop. Long consolidation periods and then spill off. Tiny consolidation period, spill off. And now we're in a consolidation period. And history would tell us we're going to get another spill off. If we do, I would be more than happy to enter into a long on ETH at $1,754. I don't think we'll get there. And I'm telling you guys, as I told my buddy with the $5 million, take a look at ETH, even if it's a small position, especially if you're playing with that amount of money. It's worth it. A 20% move in ETH just takes it back to above $2,000, right? A 20% move from ETH is, $2,380. So to take $1 million and turn 200K profit, or if you want to throw the whole 5 million in there, my friend who called me, I'm not going to dox you, but that's $1 million, and ETH just has to get to $2,300. And I think with the big staking adding to the ETF, I think that's going to be absolutely massive. So to answer the question of the show here, the title, I think ETH, I'm going to throw it in the best altcoins to buy. Now, I'm not saying buy it and hold it forever, but it's just, to me, it's very undervalued. Kelvinator said, are you going to give us a glimpse into your portfolio sometime? Maybe I will. Definitely not today, but maybe I will. I'm just going to check in on the chat here, say hello to some people. Let me pour my water. H Bar Bean said, what's up, my crypto ninjas? What's up, my friend? Andre Davenport or Devonport, what's going on? Giga Longbottom, Florence. Hello, Florence. I don't think I've seen you in here. Government Bowel Movement Tracker. I'm still call you GBMT. James Wheeler, what's up, brother? How you doing, man? Miss you, James. Haven't seen you in a while, buddy. Let's go out for some coffee or something. Daniel Goodman, Tony C. Bitcoin dead on weekend as usual. Yeah, you know, Saturday's usually a low vol day, and then no, I don't want to look at that. And then Sundays usually have been decent volatility days. Let's find a couple Sundays here. So this was last Sunday. This was a 2% day. This was the Sunday before that. That was a big Sunday. That was a 6% day. This Sunday was a big Sunday. It was a 10% day. And so we see volatility on Sundays, price action wise, at least for the last 3. And so we're going to get something similar tomorrow. Again, looking at the chart, I think Bitcoin's ready to move, man. The weekly looks pretty good. Weekly might be setting up for a larger bear flag pattern here, though. But either way, like to work the lower time frames, the 1 day, the 21 hour, and everything is just rising and will fall, rising and will fall until you get a candle like this. So the one question I had when I first started, because I was options trading for a while back in like 2010, 2011. And then when I started getting into crypto, because there's no open and close as far as weekends, it's all continuous. And so you can't really identify certain patterns in crypto, like candlestick patterns. That's a lot of what I worked with when I was trading options. And also a lot of the charts all look the same. And so it took a little while for me to get used to. And I was like, every time we see a big move down, it's like rising wedge, rising channel, rising wedge, rising channel. Every time we see a big move up, falling wedge, falling channel. I'm like, when do these get invalidated? And you start to learn, you need candles like this. So when you look at, and this is just kind of like a case study to prove my point here, right? You take a look at this pattern here, if we isolated it, right? You had a perfect setup for a bear flag pattern here. You had that big move to the downside, and you had a uptrending channel. And this told us that we should have broken to the downside. And this candle, like a candle like this, is what invalidates that move. And then so you surpass the 50% retracement level, you surpass the 618, and eventually that gets invalidated. And then we continue to move up, and the structure actually reverses. But you take a look at what we've been seeing, we haven't really been seeing that. So everything has been turning into, and you look in hindsight, this ended up just being a small deviation. We break to the downside. Look at what we're doing now. Same thing. This is on the 21 hour. Rising channel, rising wedge, it'll break to the downside. So I'm just following what the TA says. And I'm telling you, I think we just need one like massive candle, whether it's a weekly, but it can't be this, obviously. It can't be massive candle. That was fun while it lasted. Give it all back, come back into the range, and then eventually do what the thing was telling us it was going to do in the first place. And so that is where we're at now. And so that's why I told my buddy, I said, look, I would wait. I think there's more downside for BTC. I was like, but if you're unsure, you can always put 20% in now and save 80% or 30%, whatever the amount. He's like, that's actually what I was thinking about. So I don't know. I'll check in with him next week and see what he did. But I'm just curious. What would you guys have told? I'm curious. What would you guys have told my buddy? If he called you and said, look, I got 5 million. I want to put it into Bitcoin right now. Should I wait or should I put it in now? I just want 20%. Would you tell him to do it, or would you tell him to wait? Let me know in the comment section because I'm curious. Government Bowel Movement Tracker said, is Cosmos dead? That's a very interesting question, my friend. Is Cosmos dead? Okay, let's look at from a price action standpoint, because fundamentally, it's not dead. But it's becoming a lot more risky to hold it than to not hold it. Why? Because of one thing, and that is opportunity cost. Okay. So this actually is a pretty, sorry. So you guys can see what I'm seeing. So right off the bat, again, I work higher time frames, and we can even go to the weekly and see what the weekly tells us. So it looks like Cosmos likes it at $3.72. That's where it's found a bottom twice now. And then we throw that on there, and let's zoom into the daily, and let's take a look at how price has reacted at that level here. So we had support, resistance, consolidation, resistance, support. So this is a very important level. So $3.76. Now I'm talking just from a technical standpoint. I'll get into the fundamentals here in a second. But every time Cosmos comes down here, this is a 32% rally. This was a big one. That was a 180% rally. That was back in from November to January, or excuse me, from November to December of 2024. We had a wick down here and it rallied 40%. And then the bounce off of here again. So far, this rally has been around 32%. So $3.77 from a trading standpoint, or even from if you're trying to add it to your spot bags, if you're bullish on Cosmos, just put in a limit order at $3.77 for your spot bags. I don't know if you use Kraken, Coinbase, whatever. And then for your long trades, put in a limit order at $3.77. I would even feel comfortable doing like a 15x leverage. Try to get that 10% times the leverage. You'll make some good money. But what I'm seeing here on Cosmos is potentially like, you ever look at a chart, you're trying to, like you open the fridge, you stare in the fridge, and you're like, I don't find what I'm looking for, but I feel like if I stare long enough, I'll find it. That's what I'm doing here. I'm like, I want this inverse head and shoulders, but I need this shoulder. I need the shoulder here. And so are we going to get the shoulder? I don't know. That would be a nice setup on a high time frame. Let's see if we get any. Oh, we also have some bullish divergence on this as well. So from a technical standpoint, Cosmos actually looks pretty good. At least the chart does. And a majority of the altcoin charts kind of look the same. And a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them have bullish divergence. And you can see here, if I zoom this in, higher lows on the RSI, lower highs on price. That is a bullish divergence. We already got a breakout there. Let's go down to the 8-hour and let's take a peek out. I mean, you got a potential inverse head and shoulders on the 8-hour as well. And then let's throw on our high volume points. Take a look at where a lot of volume's coming in. Then we can always zoom this out. So let's say we got a big one here around, where was this one? This one was $4.34. Around 53 million Cosmos or Atom token was traded. And then this one here, a little bit below 377. We only got here on a wick. But this is where we saw that big bounce, and that was around 30 million Atom tokens were traded, and that price was around $3 and again 37 cents. And so price action wise, Cosmos looks pretty good. And also looking at the 12-hour, let's get rid of this. This also looks like it was in a falling channel. I mean, you can even do this and say this was a deviation, right? And of course, this is in hindsight. But we got to break above in a retest, and we almost got a second retest as well. And so as far as from a trading standpoint, it's not something I would enter now. I think the time to enter would have been on this retest. So around $4.52. Now, I know you might say 30 cents is not that big of a difference from the price that it is at now, which is $4.81. Why not when it could move? 9 out of 10 times if you do that, you're going to end up losing money. The price is going to go against you. You're going to be on high leverage, or I don't know, the exchange you're trading on might be manipulating, which is why you should trade on BuyDeFi. The link is in the description. But if we come back and try to retest this trend line again, which is anywhere between $4.25 to around $4.30. If we come back and retest here, I'd be happy to put in a long position. But for now, trading wise, there's really no setup. The move's already happened. The entrance would have been here on the retest. Now, from a fundamental standpoint, again, I've said this, so I'll keep it short, and I don't want to keep having the same talking points over and over again. But what gave Cosmos its allure back in 2021 and 2020, it's not as meaningful now because there's so many more people that are doing it, right? I have a good analogy, but I don't want to use it because it's a little on the edge. That's kind of where I'm at with Cosmos. Is everyone now, interoperability is a big thing. It's almost a must, right? Interoperable, cross-chain. You have certain protocols like Circle CCTP. You have a Chainlink CCIP. So interoperability is not as big of a, oh my God, they've accomplished interoperability, I'm going to use the chain. It's like everyone's doing it now. So what else differentiates your chain from everyone else? And I don't think there's enough there. I don't know. So for me, I'm a fade on Cosmos. And it sucks because Cosmos was one of my first buys in crypto. I don't mean like let me mess around, $10, $20. I mean like a decent amount. Like I think I bought like 5 or 6K worth of Cosmos. So that's my thesis on Cosmos. It's been around a while. It's got longevity. But again, it's all about selling point, utility. What do you think? So I asked you guys, what would you tell my friend? I'm just going to check back and see. Ethereum's not your top 5. Wow, that's everything. What's your top 5? Maybe I'll share with you guys another show. East gas fees are too high. I agree. Let me commend you for putting in some overtime. Great job. Thanks, Kelvin. I appreciate it, my friend. Yeah, my kid's first soccer game for school is today in about, well, I got to leave soon, actually. Cosmos reminds me of Ethereum and Polkadot. The projects built on those chains are the best bets. Yeah. Is Polygon dead? I don't know. Polygon's an iffy one for me. If I had 5 million, I would buy Tau. I don't think it wants to go that risky. But yeah. Daniel Goodman said if he had 5 mil, he'd go to the beach. Not a bad idea. But what if you can take 5 mil, add another mil to it, pocket the 1 mil, and then go to the beach? Now you have an extra million in your pocket. There's a lot you can do there. A lot you can do. All right. Let's take a peek at some on-chain metrics. It says daily active addresses. Look at who's number one. BNB. Talked about this yesterday. A big short squeeze potentially coming for a BNB token as the funding rates have been negative, but the charts are saying something different. Price is going up slowly. We broke down the chart yesterday, some bullish div. High timeframes are looking really good. There's a lot of alts that are looking really good on the higher timeframes. Cosmos is one of them. XLM is one of them. I think Solana was one of them. Hedera was one of them. You know, yesterday we did a Hedera video. And just some of the comments, man, that we get on these videos, I'm like, God, fucking shit, man. This was a H-bar chart that I kind of went over. Bullish div on the day. On the lower time frames, we talked about this. Falling channel, falling wedge, break to the upside, break to the upside. Now this one, if I extend this trend line out, this one we got a break, but there was no follow through, right? It wasn't it was like a break and then chop, 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 chop. And so, but for me, Hedera is in a massive value zone. And you can look, this is on the 4 hour. Anytime we've been in here, it's been like a springboard for H-bar. Even going on the higher time frame, you can see a majority of these trips down here ended up being wicks. Now, of course, we have spent a little more time down here, but Hedera has been one of the best performing altcoins, period. I mean, if I throw on, and not to mention, you got Confluence with the 200-day moving average ribbon here. And that is where Hedera is kind of consolidating. So it's consolidating at a massive support level, which is our value zone, which is this 17.15 cent region, which is also where our 200-day moving average ribbon lives. Hedera is one of a handful of altcoins that have traded consistently above its 200-day moving average since crossing above it. You look at something like XRP, same thing, trading well above its 200-day moving average. I think BNB, no, BNB is not one of them. It's traded a decent amount of time below its 200-day moving average. Same thing with Doge, same thing with ADA, right? That was Doge. This is ADA. Well, ADA, not really. ADA's consolidating there too. Tron, I definitely know it has not. Chainlink, it has. And so you kind of get the point. And so Hedera is one of the few that has not, since breaking above, has not traded below its 200-day moving average. And so to me, this is a strong chart. Again, multiple confluence, bullish div, 200-day MA coming into our long-term support level where price has reacted extremely positively. And that is where we're consolidating now. And so now the flip side would be if this level is lost, then the fall would be pretty big. You're probably going down to 10 cents. If we lose this 17 cent level, 17.715 cents, we're going down to 9 to 10 cents, I believe. Because you lose your 200-day MA, you lose your value area zone, which ends at around 14 cents. And it's just, I mean, what we can also do is throw on our VRVP. And we can see, did I get rid of the VRVP? No, it's right there. So looking at this volume profile, okay, you have a spike of volume at the lower end of our value area, which is 14 cents. You have another one around 11 cents. And then there's really nothing until like 5 cents. So you lose this, you've already broken the top end. You lose this, you lose your close band on the 200-day moving average. You lose that, you're going to 14 cents. You lose that, you're going to 10 cents. At least from a volume standpoint. and we can get rid of that, and we can throw on the high volume points that are a little more specific, and I guess visually a little better. And I mean, I don't think we're gonna get down here, but like your massive solid liquidity point, or your volume point here is at 4 cents. But again, I don't think we're going down to 4 cents. I think Hedera again is one of the stronger charts. And you look at the 8-hour for H bar, see if we see any more volume points down here. It's kind of no man's land, right? Between here, we did have a little bit of consolidation around this 14-cent region, but Hedera just went straight up. It had one pit stop from 13.5 cents up to its so far high of the cycle. It had one pit stop, and that was at 17.3 cents. So we lose that, we're going down to 14. We lose that, we're probably going down to sub 10 cents. But guess what? If that does happen, which I don't think it will, if that does happen, H bar might just move into my top 5 of tokens that I have in my portfolio. I'm super bullish on what H bar is doing. So yeah, I'm like kind of all over the place. Am I going from here to? Oh, big shout out to French Toaster gifting 5 Sin City memberships. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you very much. David, you're always on my man. You need a raise. Thank you, bro. Appreciate you. You know what's crazy? I have not taken a single dime, not a fucking dime out of the business. Neither has Robin, neither has Rocco. None of us. Every single dime that has come into this business, into our LLC, has been reinvested back into the company, into making the product better, getting better equipment, hiring help, building out more sets, improving the studio. And so I love doing this, man. But yeah, I appreciate that comment, man. You know, everyone thinks that turning on a camera, and I know I'm kind of going off topic here a little bit, but everyone thinks that just buying a webcam, microphone, turning on a camera, oh, it's all good, man. You can make so much money. You know, this guy makes millions of dollars, and look, he just sits at home. But man, it's very mentally challenging, especially when you do it for a long period of time. It could be very mentally challenging. Certain people getting harassed, and just the grind of it, right? Trying to build a brand from nothing, which is essentially what we did. None of us had a brand. No one even knew who the hell we were outside of our friends and the people, the places we worked. And so to build an image and a brand, all while trying to build a business, all while trying to learn how to do camera equipment, all while trying to set up audio, all while trying to learn how to do lighting, all while trying to work on your vernacular and your speech and your tone of voice and your camera presence and everything else. It's pretty challenging, man. You know, but it's very rewarding, because when you see comments like that, and you see a community kind of form around your business, your channel, just you in general, it's a pretty satisfying feeling. And one thing I always hold on to, and something my dad always told me was, you know, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll eventually get what you want. Whether that's money, whether that's friendship, whatever it is, that's what you do. So it's if anyone's ever thinking about getting into content creating, just know it's not easy, it's hard, but if you stick through it and you do things the right way from the beginning, and the foundation is strong, it could be very rewarding, not just from a financial standpoint, because I don't know yet, because I haven't taken any money, but I've seen what it could do, right? And so, but from a personal standpoint as well, it's pretty awesome. And then, so our project now, just in case you guys don't know, and I'll tell you guys a little insight. We're doing a project in the back area of our studio. And so you guys see our set in the studio now is pretty much like a news style desk. It kind of fits what we do for the AM show. But when you think about other podcast ideas, it's very niche. And so we're building 3 additional sets. We're building should I even say this? Okay, I'll leave it at that. We're building 3 additional sets. Maybe I'll share some pictures later. But what this is going to allow us to do is open up a second revenue stream outside of crypto, to when crypto goes in a bear market and money dries up from crypto, we don't have to go back and pick up jobs again, or we don't have to fire our employees. And so Mr. K said, And David, we trust. Rob, on the other hand, likes to pay taxes. So anyways, having those other sets and being more dynamic, because part of our revenue stream is going to be to rent our studio out to other people, other podcasters. So that'll be another revenue source outside of crypto. So that when crypto goes in a bear market, we still come to you, create awesome content, and kind of keep everyone sane during the bear market, but not have to, again, go back to work or fire our employees. So we're excited for that, man. So again, thanks to French Toaster for, I think that's how this conversation started, for gifting 5 memberships. Your support means everything. We appreciate every single one of you. With that being said, my friends, I am going to get out of here. I got to get going. My kid's game starts in 30 minutes, and it's about a 35-minute drive from where I live. So I just want to say I love you guys. Have a great weekend. Come back tomorrow. I'm not sure what time I'll be going live, so just make sure you're notified or have your notification bell on and subscribe to the channel. But tomorrow is going to be a crypto and chill show. We'll kind of do some Q&A. I'll be kind of hanging out with you guys, answering questions. Maybe I'll share my portfolio there tomorrow. But either way, I love you guys. I will see you tomorrow. Until then, peace.